Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. There are many ways to support the show. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon feed for $1 a month, extra content. And you can also check out the merchandise and get of shirts other items with designs made by friends of the show. It is never appreciated as there are expenses in making these shows. Please also follow Jen her own channel when she's able to make it. She is the co-host of this show on Saturdays, and also Michael Strange of Trouble Minds and Trouble Minds Radio Network KUAP broadcast all kinds of shows as well as my own line for free. So I think that takes care of everything, and we'll get back to these here. Thank you all for being here and listening in, whether you're here for the live recording on Discord or listen to the podcast feed or YouTube feeds. And I'm reading and into the Discord server in every episode description now. So if you ever are and there for the live recordings, now you do that. And you're welcome to join the server and listen to others talking. And sometimes to the comment shows when I see them and when they are related to the show, they're always it's amazing how much they add to the shows sometimes. So anyway, getting back to these true stories here. This one says, I was invited to Santa Fe, New Mexico, for a professional development trip and stayed in a hotel near downtown. My room was on either the second or third floor. The first night I had falling asleep, which I chalked up to the altitude. Sometime in 3 a.m., since it was I had bathroom on. When I opened my eyes, there was a figure near the bathroom doorway. I couldn't move, but oddly, I didn't feel it. I remember thinking nothing, almost like my brain just accepted it. After a moment, I went back to sleep. Without, I stayed. I stayed in the for months. Didn't experience anything else like that. I later stepped to a local gem and rock shop run by a trader who'd been in the area for years. During casual conversation, someone there asked me where I was staying. When I went to the hotel, they immediately told me that and that there had been many ghost sightings there over the years. Let's see here, I lost it. That stuck with me. I rational. The hotel room had wow had a a fireplace so I can carbon monoxide. I also figured altitude plus exhaustion could explain sleep paralysis or a hallucination. Still, that night I couldn't bring myself to sleep at all. I flew out the next day. I'm not saying it was a ghost, but learning the history of the building after the experience made it hard to completely dismiss what I saw. And that's where that one ends. So that's fascinating. It's always amazing when you have these places and remote things and they something and end up being another, and especially when you have it where it's a hospital, but then turn hotel. Now hospitals and hotels are two types of locations. See, always eventually you get reports about those places having paranormal soon, if not right away. And you have both of them that were in the same or words are hard. You have that was one or the other, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was some paranormal activity there. Um, I'm wondering about the carbon monoxide issue because you would think if that was an issue, it would be happening to more than just the one person, but I don't know. But yeah, so it's really odd when we find these accounts of these experiences where that's it's in a place that has a lot of history and a lot of energy coming and going, a lot of people coming and going, a lot of emotions, at least from the hospital, I'm guessing, and I mean hotels probably too. So yeah, as there was, I'd be again to know the actual hotel and how common it was there. But I mean, the person that made they by locals about or that there's activity there. So yeah, anyone, especially since the person didn't even know about those reports beforehand, before experience, they found out about them after. So moving on to the next one here. This one, this happened ago when I was still married to my ex-husband, and our son was only a few months old. It was past 7 o'clock when he invited me to get some food from a restaurant on the Pan American Highway in Venezuela. We drove the truck spot and ordered our food to go. On our way back, as we passed through another area where and a social club, we encountered an extremely dense. At that moment, the mist became so thick that that no other cars could be. We were completely alone on that narrow road. Suddenly, a vehicle wearing a long sleeve that women used to sleep many years ago. She had long, light brown, and slightly wavy. She was moving in the opposite direction, but the most terrifying part was that we were floating. Even though we were driving at a steady speed, we saw her pass right beside the truck in an inexplicable kind of slow motion. Despite the heavy fog, her figure was absolutely sharp and vivid, though we never saw her face. She profile the entire time. What felt like several minutes passed before she finally vanished. My ex-husband asked me, "Did you see that?" And I told him, "Yeah." We were left. It was terrifying. Later, when we story, people told us that sometimes up there on that road to distract you accident. But fortunately, God protected us that day. That's the end of that account. Who it was, if someone did it, but that's a fascinating sighting. It's almost like a sighting, but a slight variation in that often you hear about the hair being dark hair, black hair. I'm just thinking here. Also, I don't know that a lot of women in white sightings have the flying through the air like that. So I don't know if it's tangential to the whole woman in white sighting um, or not, but it's a fascinating one. And I don't know I wouldn't think that'd be a residual because this woman was floating, but obviously she didn't show any interest in the people on the vehicle that she went by. So it's a weird mix of things there. Um, so I don't know what that was about, but that is again these kinds of sightings where apparitions are seen floating, moving through the air, not walking in any way, are always fascinating to me because that almost indicates an awareness of abilities, an awareness that I don't have to walk, I can basically fly or float. But really, it's kind of a sort of flying or levitation that is happening there. So if it was someone walking but they were in the air, it might still be residual in that there may have been a building or an object or the ground may have been higher at some point, and what people are seeing is this figure walking across a place that isn't there anymore, and they're seeing more of a residual image of someone walking. But again, that doesn't fit with this description. So, but anyway, um, let's get to the next story here. And I think I'm going to do a Patreon episode after this because I'm probably not going to get through this next half dozen show. So, um, this next one says this happened 8 years ago. I visited my cousin's house during summer vacation. They live in a mountainous area. One day, as usual, we were going to sleep at midnight after playing some kind of a game. We slept in the same room with separate beds. As we were sleeping, suddenly stones were given at us inside the room. His and my bed, uh, iron frames, were getting. The room was closed, and there were no windows. I'm sorry, no winds at the time. This went on for 30 seconds. Then it stopped. Neither of us could speak. We were under the blankets and uh, shaking out of fear. After about 5 minutes, I told my cousin to forget about it and sleep, and he gave a really shaky reply of, yeah, and that's where that one ends. That's fascinating because there are reports of that from past decades, and that's part of uh, something similar to what Charles talks about in his writings. But also, I've heard that about um, other people in places and inside buildings, even since then, the appearance of stones uh, falling from the space beneath the ceiling, or even just stones falling again outside on down from on top of houses, and and again, where are they coming from? So it's always fascinating when you hear. I find these accounts that are similar to things I've heard about from decades earlier, as if these things are still happening today. Maybe not reported as often, but still there. And what's behind that, I don't know. But it does seem like, I don't know, nothing ever really completely changes when it comes to anomalous activity, except for maybe when it comes to modern technology. But beyond that, there's still apparitions, there's still objects vanishing and reappearing today. And there's still, again, this example of stones appearing and being thrown or falling inside buildings, inside homes. So that to me is really fascinating because there's a pattern there. It's just impossible to know what that means or what's causing it, I think, at least at this point. Moving on to this next true story here. This one says, okay, I've read the orbs warning saying it's dust or bugs. It is not. They were full, and I guess they mean in their situation here because they are in some videos. It is dust or bugs when people capture some orbs on video. Anyway, says they were full either balls or streaks of white light, then black ones. They were not part of my vision and moved independently of my eye and head movement. This was over a few months period at the start of 2009. I sat on the edge of my bed and saw a streak of white light come from nowhere, cross my jeans, and then disappear. Another time, I saw several balls of white light hovering on my wall, probably for about 5 minutes, just up and down. Another time, people were in the room with me when this happened. I didn't say anything and assumed that they didn't they'd see it, but they didn't. I didn't want to sound crazy if they didn't see it, see anything. These later turned into black dots that would come from nowhere. Uh, I lost my spot. Fly around me and disappear. Since these experiences, I have not once, not a single time, seen them again. It's unexplainable to me. I can describe it as if someone had a flashlight and they were shining it on a wall. There'd be a circle of light. They were independent of me. I could leave the room, not see them in the next room, and then come back and they'd still be there. In fact, when I first saw them, I got the sense they were sentient and knew I could sense them. I was never afraid of them. I didn't know anybody that died at the time. Nothing bad has ever happened in my house. No babies were being born. Can this happen? It's the only true paranormal experience I've ever had. My thoughts were that it was my guardian angel, but I don't know why they would have shown themselves then. Anyway, the main thing is that I never ever saw them again. I kind of want to. And that's where that one ends. That's fascinating. The lights turning to dark, to almost like shadow orbs, or at least the person seeing both at different times. That's really amazing, and it does seem like they were sensitive to that enough to that whatever was going on in that one location. I'm guessing um, pick up on it. The So yeah, the fact that there were lights and also shadows that were orb shaped is really fascinating, and I don't blame them for sort of wanting to see them again because I've kind of I still would like to see the blue lights in the sky that I saw again someday. Uh, but I also don't want to really put that out there too much because um, it was a odd series of experiences, and it may have one of them may have coincided with the power outage. So I don't need that to happen again. Uh, but so yeah, that's a lot of sightings though. It sounds like they were seeing them pretty often. And again, I like how they point out they never saw them again after that series of events. So to them, that sort of rules out hallucinations or anything like that because they never had the experience again. Um, so yeah, that's an amazing set of sightings there. I think we have time for one more of these stories here. So we'll go with that, and that'll be it for this episode. This one says, "This happened a while ago, but I still remember it clearly. It was sometime between 1 and 3 a.m., though I don't remember the exact time. I didn't I didn't wake up to use the bathroom, get a drink, or for any reason at all. I just woke up fully aware. The first thing I noticed wasn't the dark of the room or the quiet of the house. It was the rocking chair in the corner of my room, slowly moving back and forth. The chair wasn't near a window or an air vent. There was no breeze, no vibration, nothing that could explain it. Everyone else in the house was asleep. I hadn't touched the chair before going to bed, and it wasn't in a position where it could have moved on its own. Yet there it was, rocking gently, almost hypnotically. I lay there for a minute or two, just watching it. I tried to think of a normal explanation, a draft, the house settling, a trick of my eyes, but nothing made sense. It was just moving. I felt a strange uh, mix of curiosity and unease, but not outright fear. I didn't panic. I didn't get up. I just watched it, frozen in quiet observation. Eventually, the rocking slowed and stopped. Somehow, I felt safe enough to drift back to sleep while keeping my eyes on the chair. When I woke up later, it was completely still, exactly where it had been before. Nothing else happened that night. No noise, no shadow, no hint of movement. Just the memory of a chair that shouldn't have been moving at all. Even now, thinking about it makes my chest tighten a little. I still don't know what caused it, and maybe I never will. And they go on to talk about how it's one of the strangest events they had ever had happen. So that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.